and that's only the first piece of it. I'm also interested in what you would say to readers and viewers and consumers of news. What advice, now that you know what you know about how the news media work, what advice would you give to consumers of information as well?
Well, as a consumer advocate, I guess I should start. Two very quick observations. One, for the consumer, find a source who you feel is trusted and you feel does good analysis, and generally stick with that source. So find somebody you trust and then stay with them, because largely you'll get the most accurate news from somebody who you find has the analytical abilities and commitment to truth that you can find. In terms of advice to journalists, aspiring journalists, here's the one thing I would ask of you. Sounds a little weird, but do not succumb to the culture of cynicism. It's important to be a skeptic. It's important to ask tough questions, but don't become a cynic, because I think once you do, you will lose sight of your craft and the important purpose that you hold in making sure a participatory democracy works by informing the participants, not swaying them, informing them. So try to resist cynicism, because I think it's increasingly prevalent throughout the media and frankly throughout the country. It may be a chicken and egg kind of thing. And I think that's the greatest thing you can do for yourself and for the craft that you aspire to enter into. Don't fall into that culture.
Great, thank you. Jan?
As a consumer, know that the media has a bias. And it comes to your table, and it comes to your living room, and it has a bias. We come to everything in our lives with a bias, not to get philosophical on you, but some are worse than others. So check different sources, and don't just rely on one. And I don't mean to contradict what you're saying. I really don't. I don't. And go, I think, because I'm old school, with the mainstream. As a journalism student, besides be nice to me, and I really do mean that. I'm so tired of being beaten up. I am so tired. Don't be in such a hurry to get the story first, which is going to go counterintuitive to what your editors are going to tell you to do. You have to be the first one, and you have to be accurate. It's a tough call. It really is. If it's first or accuracy, be accurate. I had a reporter recently with the North County Times, now Union Tribune, that did a story on drones and did not get the facts right, and quoted a congressman's white paper and didn't read it, and quoted those facts in there. And I downloaded the, I think, 80-page thing, read it, culled out all the things that referring to the sheriff's department that he referred to, and they were wrong. And I called him back on it nicely. Of course, once it's printed once, you have the big story. This is like the Waco story in Texas. Building burning, FBI agents set it ablaze, everybody's dead, and then after the investigation's over, a few years later, B section buried underneath the ad for hemorrhoid cream. Oh, well, they actually didn't set the place on fire. So I talked to him about that, and he said, this is, here I'm pointing on page this and on page that, and he challenged me on it, and he never did do a retraction, and to be honest, I moved on to something else. So, long end of that story is, be nice to me, research, be accurate. That's the most important thing for a journalism student to do. Do your craft, do it well, do it honorably, and thank you for doing that.
Thanks, Jan. Darren?
For news consumers, things are changing in the media. Right now, the public agencies, elected officials, pretty much have the opportunity to take their message directly to the public and bypass the media. There's Twitter, there's Facebook, and the more that people become wired, with their PDA or their computer, public agencies are going to choose to take their message unfiltered directly to the public, and the media, unfortunately, or fortunately, is going to be playing catch up, and then they go and do their analysis, and here's what the real story is. So for news consumers, like I said, the more they're wired in, the more they're going to be hearing directly from public agencies, elected officials, and businesses. With regard to students, you play a very important role, and despite the criticism that people like me often give the media. You're part of the solution. You prevent scandals from happening. You prevent elected officials who probably shouldn't be in office from doing some terrible things and some very dishonorable things. So your role in society is vitally important. Take it seriously and be fair to yourself.
We would like to thank our guests tonight.